This is all the trend hopping Hot Topic has done since its start in 1988. It started with its origins in alternative and rave roots in 1988 to the early 90s. Then it moved to the grunge and alternative boom from mid to late 90s. Then it moved from that to the nu metal and emo explosion in the early to mid 2000s, which is what most people what most people view Hot Topic as in the beginning, or how they view their origins is more so the nu metal and emo explosion. Then it switched from that to the scene and MySpace era in the mid to late 2000s, which is the more Invader Zim and Nightmare Before Christmas type of stuff. And then it went from that to the fandom pivot in 2010s, which is more heavily licensed pop culture, anime, Marvel, Funko Pops, etc. And then we have the current era, which is the Y2K revival in 2020, and also just the amalgamation of the things prior. And I think all of these things led them to not understanding who they are anymore, because when you try to do everything, you become nothing. The easiest example of this is the exteriors of the stores. I mean, look at the boring new one and the interesting old one, and it is one of those things that has just happened with every business. I mean, if you look at the old McDonald's and the new McDonald's, but it's an easy example of just how they kind of lost all of their character in trying to appeal to literally everyone. I may do a different video diving into why that is with brands such as McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, etc., 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 etc. But for this video, we're mainly focusing on what I think is wrong with Hot Topic. I would like to preface that I never grew up with Hot Topic. I don't know what everybody idolizes about the early 2000s Hot Topic, but I grew up with maybe the 2010s Hot Topic or 2010s onward, because I feel like there wasn't as much of a dramatic shift in how Hot Topic is approached from the 2010s onwards. Because once they did the fandom pivot, it was pretty much like game over. They just continued to do that and continued to buy literally every IP that they thought was popular. My first complaint with Hot Topic is the plexis. Plexis are basically the little plastic containers that they shove shirts into, so then you can see what the design of the shirt is above the shirt that's folded. Now, plexis as like a thing aren't necessarily that bad, but stores use them as like an excuse to not organize their store properly, and they also use it as an excuse to not design anything properly. So you can be super lazy with the color of t-shirt or the design that you use, because you can just shove them all on a wall and people will be able to find them. Instead of like organizing appropriately, like for example, Zoomies organizes way better than Hot Topic, because it's basically like, hey, this is the section for this. This is the skate section. This is the weed section. This is the blah, blah, blah section. This is this section. This is that section. Hot Topic is more like, they have sections, but they're very like blended together, and they just throw everything onto a wall, and everything looks the same because they're all black t-shirts 90% of the time, and they're all designed relatively the same because they're all super lazy. Which gets me to my second point. Hot Topic is notorious for not designing absolutely anything. They basically just go on Google Images, kind of like Primitive. I made a whole video on them, but you basically just go, okay, Dragon Ball Z. Okay, cool, we got Dragon Ball Z. Okay, let me grab this, throw this in Photoshop. Okay, let me make it to where it fits a t-shirt, and then throws it on a t-shirt. Case closed, we're done. If you see an actual interesting design at Hot Topic, a lot of the time it's not made by them. It's made by either Crunchyroll or Sanrio, but a majority of their designs are basically made by Hot Topic for Hot Topic. And it also gives them this right to be like, hey, this is an exclusive design. It's like, no, it's not. You pulled this thing from Google. And on top of that, when they do actually put a little bit of effort into designing something, most of the time they're designing for a poster and not a t-shirt. I can make a whole video going into how screen printing and those types of, or DTG and stuff like that, is just how people are so lazy with that. They're just insanely lazy with it because they think that they can design for something that is wall art and throw it on a t-shirt and be like, hey, this fits every like box or whatever. When you can easily see the cut lines on the t-shirt. You can see the box. I don't like when I can look at a t-shirt and I can see the box, especially when it doesn't fit how a t-shirt is supposed to be designed. If that makes sense? I don't know if that makes sense. But you've probably seen a t-shirt where it's like, it is cut off because they just follow the box that they can fit on the DTG printer. But the point with that is Hot Topic is notorious for doing that, is notorious for designing for a poster and then you can still see the edges of the t-shirt. T-shirt or hoodie or whatever the hell they want to throw it on, because this is not exclusive to t-shirts, but t-shirts are what Hot Topic sells the most of outside of little knickknacks. And the reason they think they can get away with designing so poorly or just designing for a poster and throwing it on a t-shirt t-shirt, or looking up, hey, Dragon Ball Z, and then throwing that on a t-shirt, is because of IPs. They own so many IPs, and they think that if they make a garbage t-shirt, as long as it has Dragon Ball or whatever anime or video game or thing you like on it, that you will buy it. And it seems to work relatively well with them just pumping out a bunch of garbage and then spending like $2 million on t-shirts and being like, oh wow, dude, this t-shirt has a JPEG of Luffy on it, therefore it's good. Or the when they made like a Shrek meme t-shirt, and it's like literally a screenshot from the movie and they just throw it on a black t-shirt. They can get away with that because people will be like, oh my god, I love Shrek. Shrek is the best. Let me buy this Shrek t-shirt that's designed like garbage, instead of like, I don't know, supporting artists. Which is kind of mind-boggling to me that you own the licensing to literally every single media franchise ever, and you choose to not just hire a bunch of artists. If you hired a bunch of artists, you could make the coolest t-shirts from literally any IP, because it would have a unique art style, be designed well, and it would just, I don't know, it would look cool. It would fit the t-shirt, but they actively choose not to do that and would rather opt into doing screenshots from Google Images. Yay, we love that. We love screenshot t-shirts. Another section of Hot Topic t-shirts are the non-licensed, or what I always called them was the XD-so random section, where they basically just make a t-shirt that's like from a meme or whatever, 6'7", and they throw it on a t-shirt, and then they basically put zero effort into it, and they're expecting you to buy it because it's funny. And it works sometimes, but it also ruins brand image, because it's like, you wear this t-shirt one time. If you buy a funny gag t-shirt, you wear it one time to like a party or whatever the hell the event may be, and that's it. There's no like thing that keeps you coming back to that store because you just wore the t-shirt once. Buying a t-shirt is basically marketing for a company always. Like if you buy a Supreme t-shirt and it's comfortable and you like it and you just keep wearing it consistently weeks on end, you'll start to like think to yourself, oh man, I like this t-shirt a lot. Let me go back and buy another t-shirt. But Hot Topic, because they invest in the XD-so random t-shirts, what ends up happening is you buy a t-shirt, you think it's funny, you wear it one time, and then you never remember or think about the brand or place that you got it from ever again. So that's my biggest problem with haha funny t-shirts, is they just don't do anything. Just go buy it on Amazon. Like Amazon can get away with that. If you're trying to be like a reputable retailer, you might as well just like drop those shirts and try to make something that's of actual quality or effort. And it almost feels like whenever Hot Topic buys an IP, the conversation goes as follows. This thing is popular. Ah, yes, indeed it is. Let's buy all of it. Let's buy every single thing from this thing. Like right now, Hot Topic is really pushing my Amazing Digital Circus. So when you walk into the stores, you'll see like a bunch of Amazing Digital Circus stuff on one table. And a lot of it, I think, is made by the company that makes Amazing Digital Circus, which is why there's like plushies and stuff like that. And then you have like their t-shirt slop that's just all over the wall or anywhere about Amazing Digital Circus, which also devolves into just like screenshots or really lazily designed t-shirts. Which is also why you could find a good thing at Hot Topic, so to speak, because you could find like a plushie or something, and most of the time it's made by the actual company, but 90% of the store is these garbage t-shirts. So if 90% of the store is garbage t-shirts and then 10% is cool plushies or whatever the hell it may be, then is your store good because of the 10% of things that could be buyable or purchasable? I would argue not, because Hot Topic is known for pop culture and stuff like that, but it's also the way that they use the pop culture is 95% of the time based on those t-shirts, which means that if the t-shirts are bad, therefore the entire store is bad, in comparison to, hey, they have plushies sometimes or little knickknacks that are cool, therefore this whole store is good when 90% of the things that they use those IPs for or whatever are t-shirts. They also aren't really trying to cultivate an image for themselves anymore. I mean, it's literally buy every single IP and then our store is really, really dark. Therefore, we are still edgy. And that's kind of all they harp on. They harp on their edgy past, but the only thing that they harp on with their edgy past is keeping their store dark, and that's it. And one of the reasons the dark aesthetic is super lazy is because it gives them an excuse to only make black t-shirts instead of like, oh, this like color t-shirt works with the composition of the shirt we are printing. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but it's like a white t-shirt will complement a certain color palette of a design better than a black t-shirt will, or vice versa. And it's also like with blue t-shirts, purple t-shirts, whatever the t-shirt color may be, it is way cheaper for them to go and make a bunch of black t-shirts and print a bunch of random stuff on the black t-shirts. And also you don't have to put the thought into designing for a different color, nor do they really designed for the color black. They just kind of think that black works with everything, hence why all of their store is filled with only exclusively, most of the time. I know that there's some outliers, but most of the time it's 90% black t-shirts. And I think them being edgy or dark and mysterious is like an excuse for them to do that, to make primarily black t-shirts and not think about the composition of the shirt that they're making, while also getting to pretend like they are as edgy as they once were. And I know I've talked a lot about the IP slop or the XD so random or whatever, the shirt designs and yada yada yada, but when it comes to their band shirts, everybody hypes them up as like this, oh, Hot Topic, it's known for its band shirts. But the band shirts are shoved at the back of the store, just like Zoomies shoves skateboards in the back of the store to make you forget that, oh wait, this is what we're known for. And the band shirts are just as lazily designed as literally everything else. It's just like, this band is popular, let's buy them, and then let's put a square image of what the band is, or let's do the Supreme box logo method and say Metallica, and that's pretty much it. So there's nothing to really talk about when it comes to the band shirts, because they just are what they are. They're just lazy shirts made for bands to be like, oh man, I really like this band, let me buy a t-shirt for it, and it's just lazy garbage that they pump out. That's it. And there's also no memory involved with it. When you buy a band t-shirt at a concert or something, there's some implicit value to it just for the fact that it's like, oh, this is me remembering that I went to said concert. In conclusion, Hot Topic puts zero effort into their clothes, their designs, the IPs they acquire, the culture they use to stay alive, their aesthetic, or even their store structure. You may still stumble across something interesting in Hot Topic only because they buy so many IPs, like how you may hate Funko Pops, but they will surely have an IP that no one else has made merch for, and there is a benefit to that. Such as being able to buy something from a long dead IP, but Hot Topic rarely does that. I more so mean that Hot Topic buys so many IPs that you're bound to stumble across something that you recognize and maybe like, but it feels more like an accident than intentional. On that note, my advice to Hot Topic would be to actually hire artists to design for t-shirts or hoodies instead of designing for a poster that you throw onto a t-shirt or a hoodie. Get more cult classic IPs, so instead of people walking into the store and saying, of course they have that, they say, oh my god, I can't believe they have this. Get rid of plexis and actually create store diversity through products like their sister store Box Lunch, while also picking an aesthetic instead of this half-baked attempt at, oh, we're edgy. Get rid of the XD so random section / non-licensed section / oh, this is funny, and take yourself a little bit more seriously so then people have a moniker of respect for you. Invest in making actual high-quality anime or game products, such as how people will make like Kiloa's backpack. Yes, it is from an anime, and yes, you can use it for cosplay, but it's also just a cool backpack. It's something I saw someone do like a year ago, I think. After I filmed that video, Hot Topic ended up doing a collab with Kingdom Hearts. So here's Roxas's jacket, just like it is in the game, minus the sleeves. For some reason, they added these like long sleeves, the undershirt long sleeves or whatever. I ended up getting this jacket. I cut off the sleeves immediately. It is so much more comfortable without the sleeves. And also it's hot as hell, so why the hell would I do that? Or have like sleeves on. But also it has this like mesh in the back that's the Kingdom Hearts mesh, because Hot Topic has to add some bullshit to literally everything for some reason. As you can see, this is the like Roxas jacket. Then they got the Kyrie jacket, which they added a keyblade over here. But this is the Kyrie jacket, just like her jacket in KH3. Then they got the Organization 13 jacket, but then it's also like, hey, we have to add Mickey Mouse on the back. Like, why? Why can't you just make the jacket? Not that I really like the aesthetic of this as much, but I don't understand why they have to just add, like, let me just DTG Mickey Mouse on the back. And here's, of course, Organization 13's swag and aura. But they dropped that with a bunch of other stuff. They dropped some bags, one of these, like, onesie things for some reason. But there's just, like, of course, there's, like, the standouts, and then there's just, like, the slop, okay? Once you get to page 3, it's literally just the slop. But yeah, I just wanted to interject to be like, hey, they do this sometimes, but they always have to like, or at least a majority of the time I noticed that they always have to Hot Topify it by adding like this crap, which kind of ruins the design of the entire piece. Anyways, back to my outro. But overall focus on making your store worth going to instead of doing the most lazy approach humanly possible and spitting in the face of all of your customers. I don't know how this video will edit. We will see how it will edit, and I hope it edits well. But I'm gonna figure out how to make videos again, and it's been kind of a pain. So like and subscribe, and let's see if I can get better in the future.